You are listening to Naked Soul Reflections, Mindful Moments for Clothes-Free Living, with your host, Chödrön.
Greetings everyone, Chödrön Heart here, and welcome to another episode of Naked Soul Reflection. This week I want to talk about the value of just observing what's going on in life. And this comes from a book that I'm starting to read called When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times by Pema Chödrön. And I'm going to read a very quick excerpt. She speaks about meditation. She says, "We don't sit in meditation to become good meditators. We sit in meditation so that we'll be more awake in our lives." And an excerpt that goes with that. On the cushion, we begin to get the hang of not indulging or repressing, and of what it feels like to let the energy just be there. And I wanted to share that with you because there's such a powerful value to just getting present to what's going on inside of us. Taking time to just turn off any distractions and be in complete stillness. Meditation practice is very helpful in that way, and it's something that I go in and out of daily practice with it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But lately I'm trying to bring it back to daily and not just several days a week. So I had this idea that, yoga, asana practice, and meditation was all about fixing something. I still have that mindset of I should be fixing something. There's something wrong with me and I need to fix it. Or there's something wrong in the world and I need to fix it. This really acute obsession with fixing and solving things. And it causes a kind of chaotic, neurotic activity. And I notice it. I'm constantly trying to figure out what's a good thing to do, what's a bad thing to do, what impact will this have, and it can become truly immobilizing, and it can also just ramp up the anxiety, and usually when that happens, I eat my feelings or something. So I thought, okay, yoga will fix it. Everything about yoga will fix it. The classes to practice the poses, meditation, all of it, if I just stick with the principles and so forth, then it will fix it and I will be a kinder, better person in the world. But when I put that didn't happen. That didn't happen, folks. And we're not bad people. None of us are bad people, but it's just funny how I thought that those things were going to just wipe all of that away and I'd just be in eternal peace and love and kindness in the world. No, because I'm a human being, apparently. So, but then I thought, I felt this frustration, but I have to fix myself. I have to fix it. The world can't have this kind of person in it. No. I was going crazy. So it was wonderful to read this in Pema Chödrön's book. Because, and I've heard it before, I just didn't believe people when they said it. I was like, yeah, but, you might be a nice person, but, I still have things to fix in me. So you go run off and be wonderful and perfect, and I will be over here wrestling with my demons. And kicking myself for it. So I really I really struggled with that. But to read Pema's book, I'm not yet finished, but to read these things, to just hear over and over that it is not about fixing things. And she says this over and over again about this is not what yoga is for. This is not what yoga is going to do. She says, even to the introduction to chapter 2 of her book, when things fall apart and we're on the verge of we know not what, the test of each of us is to stay on that brink and not concretize. The spiritual journey is not about heaven and finally getting to a place that's really swell. And I've had the hardest time letting go of that, because that was even sort of the backdrop of my religious upbringing, was like, do all these perfect things in the world and you'll go to heaven and you'll be square. But that is not something that one can embody. You can't live a life that way, because it's just not going to be perfect, because we're human beings. I mean, we do things, we make mistakes, we hurt people and whatnot, and we receive that from others as well, and that's sort of the ebb and flow of where we are and who we are. So, but I've heard it over and over, and then reading it in this book created a seal for me, a seal on it, where I'm really starting to get that, as she said, you're not sitting in meditation to become a good meditator. You're sitting so that you can become awakened to life. And so I used to not think that was very powerful. I thought, well, it's great to get present and all that, but don't you want to fix the thing? And certainly we want to do things in optimal ways and lead and not actively keep choosing things that are suboptimal, but which is like worse. That one of my favorite teachers uses optimal and suboptimal, and I love it. But I really devalued the power of just observing these things until today, or like really this weekend, so I did my meditation practice, and I started to see evidence of what my teachers have said. Like, most of the time we think the exact same thoughts every day, same time of the day, all that. We actually don't have that many new thoughts. Majority of our thoughts are the same. And I was like, yeah, I kind of get that. But now, folks, I really get it. I really get that. I have the same pattern of thoughts. A particular thing happens, or something similar to it, and I have the exact same response to it. And, I used to think I just want to fix it. I wanted to bypass the part of just observing it and just be like, I just want to fix everything, or I want to just outright respond and like act like a crazy person. But to step back, not just to not doing anything in response to the thing, but even taking a further step back to say, wow, that's the same pattern of thoughts that I had like yesterday or a week ago when something similar happened. And like, I was literally sitting today and something happened. One of those triggering things happened, and I had the same set of thoughts, but I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, there's that again. I see. And I haven't like gone off the wall and done anything crazy like I used to, but I felt so empowered by just recognizing the pattern. And that's an interesting kind of powerful vulnerability. And it's a very challenging thing to practice refraining and just observing the pattern, observing yourself. These thoughts are happening, and doing so without judgment. That's an interesting kind of vulnerability, to dare to be still and just observe it. It's like if you saw something in the store and you thought it was beautiful, and instead of reaching out to touch it, you just looked at it. So I want to offer that to you this week. An opportunity to get present and observe your patterns of thought. Patterns of behavior too, like if that happened as a knee-jerk reaction to things as well, but really the thoughts that drive that action. I want to go to that deep level. That's a different kind of nakedness, because you have to really, first of all, you have to take away any distractions. Like if you're a comfort eater, like I sometimes get, it means not reaching for food when you feel uncomfortable and instead just being in the pause. Or if you normally go out for a smoke, not going out for a smoke in response to it, or whatever it is. It just means being in the pause. And that's an interesting kind of nakedness, to not clothe the moment with some activity and just be in that moment of observation. And just see the pattern. Every morning I get up and the neighbor cooks this thing and I can smell it, and I have these sets of thoughts that happen. And if you can, don't judge it. It's hard to say. That's a hard thing to actually do, like non-judging, but still don't do it. I know that I say that knowing that it's very hard to do. But just being in that moment. And I'll share one more excerpt from Pema's book, because the reason why just observing it is so powerful is this. She says, "This very moment is the perfect teacher, and it's always with us, is really a most profound instruction. Just seeing what's going on, that's the teaching right there." So powerful, because often we're looking for answers and resolutions and things that fix it. But just being present in the moment, like the moment itself is the teacher. And I get that now. I get that feeling that, whoa, that light bulb goes off just when I observe it. And it was such a powerful moment, a very simple moment, but something came up and the usual swirl of thoughts happened and my brain freaked out and my heartstrings and all this. And then I just paused and I was like, wait, I recognize that craziness. There I go, judging. I recognize that pattern. I've seen that pattern before. Okay. And I just marinated with the recognition of the pattern. So take that with you this week. Who knows what moment you'll be able to recall that practice and try it out. But if you have kids, if your kid always comes in while you're trying to like relax and they jump and they're like asking you a million questions, and in response you have this swirl of thoughts like, I just wish people would leave me alone. Maybe you get present to, I always think that when my kid jumps on me after work. Or the puppy. I've had, maybe you come in and the puppy and you're like, anything at all. It could be something positive too. Like, I feel this way whenever so-and-so says good morning to me. It could be something very pleasant too. It doesn't have to be like, doom and gloom. But just be in the power of the moment as teacher. Just be in the richness of that. The moment itself as teacher. And see what it's like to just do that without clothing the moment with any extemporaneous activity. Just stand as you are in it. My heart is with you, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. Namaste, friends.